Hello everybody, welcome back to the Malbeefance channel. This is episode 7 in our series replay of Strategic Command WW2 War in Europe. Things are not going well for the Allies. As you can see, German forces are advancing. They are up to Paris. We'll just have to see how this goes. Alright, so let's go ahead and advance the turn. See what happens. Axis raiders disrupt Canada UK convoys. That's that submarine we're out there hunting. And British infantry warfare development up to 92%. Soviet logistic development up to 34%. And Soviet industrial technology level 1 breakthrough. Mo money. There is our ledger for the up and coming turn. Alright, can France hold on for one more turn? And here comes the attack on Paris. Well, the air war anyway. They're going to try and get my British artillery before it can get out of there. Ugh. Well, they might hang on to Marseille. It looks like Paris is going to hold out simply because the computer's trying to encircle it. Alright, Malta hinders Axis supply in the Mediterranean, and Allied raiders disrupt Norway German convoys. So, only 3 French units destroyed, but still, position is abysmal. Alright, no more updates. Not a whole lot we can do. Just keep trying to slow German conquest of Paris as much as possible. It seems like whatever I spend France's points on, it really doesn't matter. Alright, let's go ahead and get these guys out of here. reinforce all of England's fighter squadrons. See if there's anything they can do in the last minutes. I don't believe so, but we can try. Alright, so what do we want to do with the French fleet? Now that's actually British. Try and pull the I'll try and pull the French Navy into British ports. See if that allows me to save any. I doubt it, but it's worth a shot. Alright, where is... So they moved up there. Let's see. There he is. Alright, let's see if we can do some damage. Little bit of damage. Now, has he got... Yes, he does. Too far away to go help. By the time they get there, that battle will be over. A submarine will be either halfway home or halfway back over here. So, might as well just go ahead and stick around Canada in case he heads this way. Finish upgrading all these ships. Let's see what happens. Alright, I think that's going to do it for the Atlantic for the moment. Alright, his supply is good. Well, upgrade the Polish destroyer. So now, if you're sitting next to this convoy route, you're supposed to affect it as if you were sitting on it. At least that's my understanding of the rule. We'll see how that goes. Nothing more I can do on the French front. Alright, now I was going to try and move him. So I think I've pretty much got everybody where I want them at the moment along the eastern front. I know it's not a front yet, but it will be. I have confidence that the computer will invade the Soviet Union at some point. Don't think there's too much more I can do. No, no. So the British have managed to evacuate France. And I got the French Air Force, what little of it is left, over in England. We'll see if we can't save the French fleet. And that is going to about do it for this turn, because I still don't have enough production points to really do anything for anybody. Yeah, they can't buy anything. No point in buying a garrison for the UK. Try and get that core back out. The United States really does need to focus on research. But there's only 100 points left. So unless I want to double up on logistics, anti-tank weapons, aerial warfare is already maxed out, naval warfare, amphibious warfare. Well, you know what? On the off chance that I'm able to build up enough American ground troops, we'll go ahead and we'll push for advanced amphibious warfare. Maybe I'll be able to make some pretty large amphibious landings. Alright, so that's going to do it for this turn. Let's go ahead and advance a turn. One thing I want to look at real quick. Now, I've mentioned before in other series, I normally look at these graphs and tables in between episodes. That way I'm not boring you any more than I already am. But I do know there are some people out there that do like to see these, and one of the things that I wanted to look at is right here. I didn't think we've racked up any kills against Nazi German forces. We did get a heavy cruiser. That's it. That's really all I wanted to look at. And then this right here. Now, this report, if you're unfamiliar with it, it's giving you a generalized idea of the relative strengths of the current belligerent forces. So, like, latest intelligence tells me that the Germans have got 43 land units in play versus my 16 in France and 17 in the UK. Now, for me, this particular graph, this particular display isn't all that valuable, but it does have its uses. Because I mean, even though the UK and France are on par with number of units, it really doesn't matter when they're massively out of position. Okay? So that's why that particular report has limited utility. Alright, so let's go ahead and advance a turn, see what happens. I really think this is it for France. I was really expecting them to go down this past turn, but it looks like the computer wants to surround the Paris completely before taking it. Okay, UK develops artillery weapons, level 1. And UK Scientist Command and Control Development has had a breakthrough. So we are now at Command and Control level 1. And infantry warfare level 1 also for the UK. Lots of breakthroughs. Industrial technology. Wow. Okay, U.S. long-range aircraft development has a breakthrough, and they have long-range aircraft level 1. Artillery development also for the U.S. Artillery weapons level 1. Industrial technology level 2. Advanced tanks level 1 for the Soviets. A lot of technology breakthroughs there. All right, so computer's calculating for next turn. Oh, that submarine did some damage. I forget what battleship that is. If they just got hurt. Looks like the Italians are going to take Marseille. And there goes one of my French generals. Alright, so we're seeing attacks on Paris. And there it goes. So the armored unit defending Paris is now destroyed. But the computer hasn't moved into the city yet. And there we go, the Italians take Marseille. There we go, now they moved into the city. So Paris has fallen. The French army is all but destroyed. Italian forces push through the Montpellier. The loss of Paris impacts British national morale, and French morale is reduced by the loss of Marseille. French morale suffers from the fall of Paris, you think? Germany creates Vichy France. France surrenders. Germany plunders 1,128 production points. Oh, that's going to come back to haunt me. Germany upgrades Saint-Nazaire, the naval base there. And looks like they get use of the Spanish ports. Third Republic is abolished as Marshal Pétain becomes head of the Vichy French state. Algeria declares loyalty to Vichy France. Bums. Tunisian governor declares his loyalty to Vichy France. Another bum. Syria declares loyalty to Vichy France. I'm surrounded by bums. Franco swings towards the Axis on the fall of France. Orders of the Commandant of the German forces in occupation of the island of Jersey. This is the occupation of the Channel Islands. Historical event. Germany annexes Alsace. Because, why not? Malta hinders Axis supply in the Mediterranean again. And what's this? Foreign Minister reports diplomatic success in Spain, up 6%. Allied raiders disrupt Norway, Germany convoys. Spanish forces enter the International Protectorate of Tangier. The fall of France enables Spain to export wolfram and other goods to Germany. Yeah, because they can go over land now. And so even before the fall of France, there's 6 French units wiped out. There's the military activity summary. And another page of military activity summary. A lot happened this turn. Yep, national morale losses recap. Alright, so British have a decision to make. Although the new French government has signed an armistice with the enemy and withdrawn from the war, not all French soldiers have given up the fight. A small number, led by General de Gaulle, intend to continue to struggle from exile as the Free French. Should we support de Gaulle, and through this action offer hope to all of those in France, indeed the whole world, who wish to continue to fight until Europe is free of the evil menace of the Nazism. Supporting the Free French will only cost us 30 production points. Okay. That's cheap as far as things go with other stuff. And it will enable us to prepare operations to prevent the Vichy fleet from falling into Axis hands. Do we want to support Free French? Yes. British decision to support de Gaulle boosts morale. Vichy France distances itself from Britain's support for de Gaulle. Alright, now, given the threats now facing our convoy routes from around the world, the U.S. government has offered us some destroyers in return for bases in the Caribbean and British Guiana. That was a historical event. Although these 5 destroyer units will need repairs and fitting out to prepare them for service, their numbers could really help to keep the Atlantic safe for our shipping. In addition, this evidence of U.S. support for our struggle will boost our national morale by 1,000 points. However, by agreeing to this, the transfer of bases will roughly halve our imports from the British Empire and the Caribbean. Shall we agree to the U.S. proposal to swap destroyers for bases? Well, now, at the beginning of the game, I had a look at the convoy routes, and there really isn't a whole lot coming in from the British Empire, so it's worth it for the 5 destroyer units. Okay, British morale is boosted. Alright, 7th Armored Division in Egypt is very incomplete, having only about 65 obsolete vehicles, very few of which are combat worthy. We're currently in the process of completing 150 new tanks that will soon be ready for service, and given the Axis threat to our position in Egypt, it is recommended that these new tanks be sent there to strengthen 7th Armored. However, sending these tanks to Egypt will require a heavily armed naval convoy that will cost us 45 production points, and the tanks won't arrive there until mid-October of 1940, which is not that far away, as the game's already at August 25th. Would you like to send these tanks to Egypt in order to reinforce 7th Armored? Yes, I would. Alright, and the hits just keep coming. Some important aircraft orders that have been placed in our country by the French government are nearing completion. Obviously, they cannot be delivered to France now that it has fallen. Imagine that. So we can either use them to supply much needed aircraft to the UK and Canada, or we can use them to equip our own air forces. If we give them to the UK and Canada, then the UK will receive a tactical bomber unit, and Canada a maritime bomber unit. Delivering them will cost us 25 production points. If we keep them, then we will receive a tactical bomber and a medium bomber unit. So would you like to send these to the UK? Actually, yeah, I would. Yeah, as much as I would like to start expanding U.S. forces, the British are going to need the numbers right now. So U.S. delivers aircraft to Liverpool. And again, that was another historical decision. U.S. delivers aircraft to St. John's. And I have a feeling that maritime bomber is really going to help. All right, number 12 fighters arrive in UK. And the Duke of York deploys. Soviet 23rd Army. Can I get them? Yes, I can. Alright, I can deploy them right there in Tallinn, and I've got my deployment here that I wanted. 2 armies right there. So when war starts with the Axis, hopefully I've got a force that I can use to knock Finland out pretty quick. Hopefully. That's the idea. We'll see what happens. Alright. So the USSR only has 31 production points left. Not a lot I can do with that, so I'll just bank it. United States has 102. I'm going to bank that also. So, I mean, I know they just had a ton of research breakthroughs, and what I'd really like to do is I'd like to go ahead and spend again on industrial technology. But for the US, it's 175, so. All right, England. Where do we start? Let's go ahead and start over here at Canada. And let's go ahead and get our anti-submarine force back out on the water. Oh, I missed him last turn. And upgrade the Courageous. Alright, so let's get these guys started. Get them started on doing maritime patrols. I'm going to keep the 2 Canadian destroyer units independent of the carrier. See if we can track down that submarine. Oh, he may have decided to hightail it for home. Alright, so since they both got full supply, and I really would like to repair that damage. So what I'll have them do is I'll have them do a sweep along the supply or the convoy route on their way to England, and they can hit one of the large ports in England to go ahead and finish getting repaired. Alright, so there are a number of interesting and ridiculous things that I might be able to do with the small English force that I've got available. So I wish I had some more Army or Corps units. I'd go ahead and I'd start probing defenses along the coastline, if for no other reason than to keep German forces off balance. Excuse me, off balance. Alright, I do believe, yep, the carriers are upgraded. And yep, okay, so he did have an effect on the German supply convoys there. Uh-oh. Oh! Unfortunately, the submarine cannot attack him. Be nice if he could. Alright, so my Polish destroyer is in danger now. He's down to half strength. Alright, anything else I can do? Yeah, and the French fleet just went completely away, so... hang on. Oh, we can upgrade the town. Okay. All right, get him back to full strength. All right, I get these other two guys up here. We'll go ahead and surround Tobruk, and hopefully we can take the town. All right, anything else for the British? I don't believe so. All right, France is down, out of the war for the time being. All right, so we had command infantry warfare breakthrough, infantry weapons, just shy. I needed 2 more points. All right, well, in that case, I'm going to bank the 198 that England has. So that way next turn we can go ahead and spend it on research for level 2 infantry weapons. And then, who knows, maybe I'll have enough to be able to go ahead and do industrial technology also. I don't think so, but I can hope. All right, that is going to do it for this turn. And that is also going to do it for this episode. Hopefully I am not boring you too much. If you have made it this far, as always, please drop a comment, leave a like. If you have not already done so, go ahead and subscribe. I think it's kind of interesting. I'm not making a complaint here, but I think it's kind of interesting that half the people who regularly watch my videos are not subscribed. I've heard other much bigger channels talking about that, and I was like, nah, they got to be kidding. But no, apparently it's a thing. So yeah, if you're not subscribed, it doesn't cost you anything. I'm not monetized, so it's not like I'm getting anything out of this. But who knows? Maybe someday, if I find a way to make this more interesting and grow the numbers, maybe I can monetize it. So who knows? Um, I I mean, I've already spoken about the monetization rules that YouTube's got out there. They are a bit I wouldn't call them crazy or restrictive or anything like that. Not negatively. It's just my situation. The amount of time that I would need to be able to produce videos on the amount that YouTube's looking for monetization. I just don't have that time. Okay, and that's why, it's not something that I'm looking at. But I mean, if the channel grows large enough, who knows? I mean, like, all right, well, I'll fully retire and go ahead and start making my supplemental income off of YouTube. Who knows? Anyways, enough about that craziness. As always, thank you all very much for tuning in, and I will see you on the next one.